Live, 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 Uziel's live for you to join along. Live, 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 Uziel's live for you to join along. What's up, everybody? Finally, we are back. So sorry about that. For last week, we missed one. I missed one. We were gonna have it, and I had a little emergency, and try to do it between Pesach. Didn't really work out, but we are here. And to come to think about it, doing the Jewish Music Hall of Fame as the last one to do before Sphere was kind of fitting. But here we are. We're not stopping. We're continuing doing our streams every Tuesday. Pesach was great. I didn't go really to any Cholamayid festivities, but it was great. I had a really nice Pesach. How was yours, everybody? I'm a little distracted here because I'm trying to see if I could put this live stream on a WhatsApp here. Let's see here. Tube.com. See if that app works. Oh, it doesn't work. Oh, that's kind of annoying. But yeah, so guys, so happy to see you guys. Have you guys over. So today we're doing this roundtable discussion between Jewish music producers. We have Shia Mendowitz, Alav Shalom. We have Ding, like Sukin Ding, that did like Uncle Maishi and so much more. And then we have Yisrael Lamb, the legendary Yisrael Lamb. And they're talking about Jewish music. It's great. And Yossi Zweig is hosting. Why do I have that in the background? I'm trying to see here. There we go. Yeah, so these are the legendary, they're very legendary classic Jewish producers, and they're joining on the discussion, and we're gonna break through it. I haven't watched it, saw it. I think I saw it on my recommendations after I saw the Jewish Music Hall of Fame, and it's great. You know, just like who better to talk about Jewish music than the producers themselves, especially the producers that knew what they were doing. You know what I mean? So it's gonna be great. Comment below, by the way. Keep the comments flowing. And I can't wait to discuss Jewish music with you guys, break down what their opinion is, my opinions, you guys' opinions. So yeah, comment below every so often. We'll just check out the chat. But yeah, let's check out this Off the Charts with Yisrael Lamb, Shia Mendowitz, and Ding. Over here, just letting it load.
We're here on behalf of Amudim Unite to Heal, a day where Amudim is going to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe even millions of dollars. But the truth is that's up to you. So please head over to unitetoheal.com and help Amudim keep doing the amazing work that they've been doing, and enjoy the rest of our program.
Also, let me know. I don't have a producer with me helping me out with the live stream, so let me know if there's anything with the audio and stuff. If you can't hear it, if you could hear it, let me know in the comments below. But yeah, let's get here.
Many Jewish singers are synonymous with great songs, amazing performances, and great recordings. But the people behind those singers, the people who make the magic happen, who have the talent and the know-how, that list is definitely a lot smaller. Today, thanks to Amudim, we are here with Yisrael Lamb, Ding, my good friend, and Shia Mendowitz. David Nachman Golding, I'm sorry. I want to give you by your legal name.
Either one is fine.
Three individuals whose names is synonymous with Jewish music milestones. I'm Yossi Zweig, and this is Off the Charts. Now, Yisrael Lamb, I promised a fan of yours that I'd ask this question. You, your brothers, Yitz and Michal, were part of Stei Chemed and Rav Eli Teitelbaum's Pirchei Orchestra.
Correct.
You are known as a trumpet player.
Right. Right.
on volume 2, but on volume 3, you were playing both trumpet and trombone.
I was dabbling with trombone at the time, right?
But on the credit for the album, you had a credit for brass. But if people look closely at that record jacket, not album, this wasn't a CD, we noticed that you made the painting that graced the cover. So what was it that got you more attention at the time? Was it the fact that you had a brass credit, or was it the fact that you made the painting that graced the cover?
It was the painting that graced the cover. At that time, that's really what I was doing. I was doing more painting than playing. I was just starting to play then, but I was painting for a while.
How did you get into painting? I didn't even know you painted.
He's a painter?
I don't know. I was 2 when I started, so I don't remember.
So this is like a hidden talent that I guess
as a kid. That's
I guess
what
Ding
used
and
to
Shia
do.
probably know about, but I didn't. But you didn't try another painting for a cover until Ruach One. You know, like,
Yeah, those
took
were
a hiatus.
drawings. This was a painting. It took
No, so
a
then
long time.
Regesh 1 and 2, those were his covers also.
I'm
Yeah.
learning
Whoa.
things. Wow. Yisrael, you still painting nowadays?
1 second. Let's check this out. Here. Regesh album. Let's see. Maybe here. 24/6 might have it. Oh my gosh, there's so many. Whoa. Do you see this? That is Yisrael Lamb. That is insane. That is insane. He drew that? That's really cool. The second one here. I actually like this one better than this one. Yeah, this is much better. This one right here. Yeah, this one's much better. But yeah, he painted those. That's crazy.
No, she is trying to get me to get back into
Yeah.
it, but
Well, you just told me you're not on the
How about
bandstand
my-
every other night anymore. So, I mean, if you have free time, this is what you're supposed to do. You golden years.
I'm being
Maybe
advised
maybe
that
my living room could use an electrical.
my living room comes first.
Now, based on Bailey Teitelbaum's information and Ding's articles in Mishpacha magazine, we know that the band then had a lot of hearts. But my question was, you guys were in like one of the better studios that time recording it. Were you guys like just trying to do the best you can and flying by the seat of your pants, or did you guys like rehearse for like a month straight and say, okay, we're going into the studio, we have to know this stuff like without charts, we have to know it good, and you just rehearsed like crazy?
You're talking about the Pirkei
The
albums?
Pirkei albums, yes.
Well, what happened then was the Epstein brothers were playing. They were the band,
Mhm.
and we were in awe of them. And Eli invited us down to the studio, and he said, "Bring your trumpet down, bring your saxophone down." And we were like in awe of the Epstein brothers. Eli said, "Go join them." So, excuse me. I remember there was a song Kiva Simcha, say, and me and Machul made up something. Da 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 ba 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 ba, and we did it. And the Epstein brothers looks at us and they say, "Wow," and Eli said, So that was the contribution.
I don't think they had this then back then.
Something like that.
Staying in the Reb Eli Teitelbaum genre, let's go to Shia, who of course you weren't just a student of his in yeshiva back in the day in Torah Das, which is now Torah Tamima. But I've heard some really interesting stuff about you. I mean, you were what, in 4th or 5th grade? You were an 11th grade boy, and all of a sudden, Reb Eli is having your name as producing credits. You're working on dinners, and you're working on Jep One. People are like, you even had a group back then, the Shir Hashirim Singers. You're what?
So you were jumping all over, but what happened was, first of all, Eli was my 2nd grade Rebbe, and that was the year that he opened up Camp Stei Chemed. And I mean, just the thought of that as for a kid to be able to, the thought of even going to Israel, like it was a dream. But before that, let's go back. Before that, I used anything that came out in Jewish music, which was very little, but I knew every record cover and listened to everything that was available.
Shia, when he was in diapers, I'm telling you,
Yeah,
there's an Shia, we all play a game with Shia, 'cause they just give him the name of a song. They'll tell you, not only will tell you what album it came on, they'll tell you what side of the album and what number on that side of
Right.
the album.
You just have to
Whoa.
test
Test
the
them out.
first note.
It's great, like how you have producers that just don't know stam Jewish music. They actually are like Jewish music geeks. You know what I mean? Like they literally live it. It's great.
It's just the
Right.
first
Right,
note.
but 8
If you
tracks
ever have
only
named
have
that
like 2 or
too.
3 tracks per side. So it's so
No, on the
complicated.
record, we started with the
No,
record.
no, I used to know the orders of the songs.
What
I
that's
wish I could have
to know the order of songs in the albums, that's really crazy. Like that's ultra like that's really cool.
done that with, Gemara and stuff like that. That would have been. But in any case, so Eli Teitelbaum was my Rebbe. He actually suggested to Avremo. I'm going fast
Yeah,
forward.
you are going mad fast.
Yeah, he asked me to. He told Avremo to call me because Avremo was interested in singing solos on albums, but not. He didn't
Not
never
his own
wanted to
album,
be.
right.
He didn't want to be
Yeah.
Avram Fried or anything. That
Yeah, like the way that how that started to where he is now. Like you don't really get a lot of big singers that had that type of story where they weren't really looking to be a singer and it just their journey just found them in it. Because usually you'll have singers like people like me that love to get into music because we love music. But like Alvin Free just loving music in the first place, and that's it. That was it for him. It's great. It's really is like it's a really cool perspective to have if you have that sense in your journey, whether music or in anything.
that's a whole story in itself. But um, Ailey was the pioneer for all these things. He was the guy who,
Yep.
for all of us, he had a shyness to all of us to start on things, right? Well, his brother was the one who's.
Someone's calling me. Oh gosh. Forgot to shut off my music. Give me a second here. It's any rock. It's a sound of festival. It's a Chabad house. Oh gosh. Hello. Hi, who's this? Hi, how are you? Is this urgent? I just in the middle of something. I'll call you back. Yeah, perfect. No problem. My bad. Yeah, I'll just shut off my ringtone here. No, stop it. Oy. Here we go. Here we shut it off. All right, we're back. Just putting back my camera here. Ugh. Here we go. All right, we're back. And we're back. Back. Are we back? Oh, we're back. There we go. How do I put this lower? I really did put it tight. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. All right, let's continue.
Started you, right, Swirly?
Surely, yeah. I started playing Surly's trumpet.
Yeah.
Now, what was
Oh,
it
no.
like when you're a Bacher and he lets you use his studio to work on Amudei Sheish, the wedding album?
So he decided he's going to make a studio in his basement, and at the same time already he had made Dial a Duff,
Right.
that was there in the
Genius.
basement. Huh?
It is genius.
Yeah, and he made that. So at that time I had the Amudei Sheish Orchestra, and I did it for the first album, and I wanted. That's when Avremo sent me a song as a demo, and I loved what I heard with him, so I called Suki Berry, and he gave me 3 songs to choose from. I was looking for something new,
Right.
and Aruka, that was the first song. I wanted to try to do something totally independent,
Right.
Yeah.
and so that was the No Jewel Will Be Left Behind album.
Yes.
But then
Classic.
But those albums were very different because the first one, your Amudei Sheish wedding album, you recorded in Eli Teitelbaum's
Yeah,
basement studio.
yeah.
And for No Jew, you went to Gadi Bodinger's 1-bedroom apartment.
Yeah.
I wish I could be in the level where I know all these names and all these people. Trying to get to it.
Somehow it first started off as from the houses, right? The studios.
Can I ask
Sorry.
you a trivia question?
Sure.
Since we're talking about Yisro and Eli Talbot Shalom, what song did they both compose together?
Vinny Casey.
Oh.
And that
Who knows?
was Vinny Casey
Is it the? Oh, okay.
was on the first Day Chemet album. And when I heard that song, I didn't know who he was, Avramo.
Oh, so it is that one. Then he Casey. So he's probably gonna talk about the fact that like Alfredo sang with himself in that song.
But I loved what I heard in his voice, the way he sang that
As a
first
kid.
part. Yeah,
Yeah,
as
I
a
remember.
kid.
Yeah.
So you're in Gotti Bodinger's basement. And
No, Gotti Bodinger's
his
apartment.
apartment on the Upper West Side,
Yes.
which is where we're going to get to you in a minute.
It's literally called
And
Upper.
you're there. It's you, Avram Fried, and Marty Lee Winter. Now, is there any time when you're recording this, you're like, I hope this works, or like, we hope this goes well, or you guys were fairly confident that you can do what you
No.
set out to accomplish?
So we recorded the rhythm tracks. So that's how we did it in the later years. We started first the rhythm, and then the brass section, and then strings. And so when I recorded, so I did the rhythm tracks over there at Gotti. Then Mordechai Ben David came into this picture at that time. And he said, why don't you go record the strings and the brass in Israel? It's much cheaper. And, okay. So we did that, and I brought the music back, and Avramo comes to the studio to start the first day of singing. And Gotti puts on the music for Kelly Dice.
Kayla,
He knows where he's supposed to sing. He knew the
Nowadays, you'd have a guide, but over there, you have
Right.
to know where to start.
What's interesting about that song, by the way, is that when you search it up in English, it's Kale. And I always like do Kel, which probably, so I actually don't know like what most people actually like refer to when they try to search up that song. But it was just like, it's always weird when I type it in.
every time we had the intro, he listened to the whole thing and he just froze. He was nervous. So that session didn't work out too well.
When I interviewed him a few
he
years
is-
ago, he
he
said in the
told you?
beginning he was a green. No, he said I was a greener. Like
Yeah.
but I never. So Avram Fried froze.
Yeah, he froze for that, and for that whole session, that was it. And then so then after that, he got used to it, and the rest is history. Yeah.
Since we're talking about Gotti Bodinger, who lived on the Upper West Side, let's go to you, Ding.
Okay.
Now, your two first projects could have been more different than anything. Over here, we have a wedding album that was very unique and different.
Right.
Soki with a touch of Ding. And on
Right.
the other side, we have Uncle Maishi, which is now has his third decade of fans. You know,
Yep.
we're talking about probably a quarter of a century of
Yes, again, Ding is so like when it says Suki and Ding, so he's the Ding. But the fact that like Uncle Maishi, and I actually don't know what the end result of that was. Basically, Suki and Ding and Uncle Maishi got into a whole thing. Uncle Maishi, I'm gonna look it up. Uncle Maishi phased in. Let's see if something comes up. Trying to see. I'm trying to see if this see if there's like some sort of verdict. I'm trying to see. Trying to see if there's some sort of verdict. Okay, yeah, so this one officially has the ruling. But this is Canadian Jewish news. But I'm trying to see if we could here. Is this it? Okay, yeah. So Bazin proclaims two Uncle Maishis. So there's a story of Jewish sages in the decision recalling Solomon split a beloved child and detained it down in the middle rather than see God. Now there are two Uncle Maishis. Both are Canadian, but it took a ruling from Beis Din in New York to make it happen. The Beis Din, a private Jewish court called the Machin Lahara, considered a dispute about who owns the name Uncle Maishi and who can perform the songs, and that performer has sung for 40 years. I'm just gonna skip this because there's a little history here. Let's see here. Since the 90s, Uncle Maishi and his Brooklyn based production company, Suki Ding Productions. Well, it's not his. Suki Ding produced Uncle Maishi. Have produced 22 albums and 14 videos. But for some time ago, Tannenbaum's relationship with Suki Ding soared, following a dispute over money and who owned the Uncle Maishi character. The case went to the rabbinical court. The ruling delivered last October. So this was when? Trying to look again. This is trying to see when this is. This is I'm just gonna use a COL one because they're getting information like this. Okay, yeah. See here, the original and the new. Yeah, the whole story is crazy, but I'm trying to get to the yeah, you see, okay, and Suki and Ding, very good. Suki Berry and David Golding. Oh, that's why his name is Ding. Try to make it bigger. How do I get rid of this ad? Stop seeing this ad. Oh, not interested. Okay. I'll just go like this. All right. There we go. Oh, there you go. Close. There you go. Okay, there we go. Okay. A year ago, so this is 2017. A year ago, the Dynamite Magnolia partnership hit a roadblock when they argued over a rise in royalty fees that would agreed upon 32 years ago. So royalty, for those who don't know, royalty is essentially, let's say if I have a product, let's say I invented a phone and I went to a phone company, let's say Apple, and told them, hey, sell my phone in exchange for not only to buy my phone, but exchange, I also want a certain percentage over all your sales. That's called a royalty. The reason why it's called royalty because there's no time limit essentially unless it's agreed upon to make a time limit. Tannenbaum claimed that this is an embodiment of Uncle Maishi. Golding argued that Uncle Maishi is a character that Tannenbaum filled as a singer. Well, so when you look at Uncle Maishi in the podcast where he did with Meaningful People, which me and Yaakov spoke a little bit, he basically says that like I'm Uncle Maishi, and while the producers were like, no, Uncle Maishi is a brand, it's more than just a person. But it was his production company that owned the brand, overseeing composition songs, production of albums, and shows. A final ruling has yet to be given, but a hazy compromise was temporarily given. While the song's music Uncle Maishi belonged to Suki Ding, both parties are permitted to use the stage name Uncle Maishi. As a result, Tannenbaum partnered with another production company, Sonic Duo Productions, led by Mehdi Hershkowitz and Chesky Brewer. That's why they always played together. Okay. The group has worked with, now, this is 2017, so it's been more than that. Together, Sonic Duo. Launch the online brand Uncle Maishi's World in August 2017. They produced new music for the album Welcome and a new sound, new show concert in the 5 towns on Hanukkah with the original Uncle Maishi. So meanwhile, continued to operate Uncle Maishi headquarters for Hanukkah. They announced a brand new show, welcoming the public to come and meet the new Uncle Maishi. That's kind of dirty. Like at concerts held in Borough Park, Queens, and Lakewood, New Jersey. My personal opinion is they should have work something out. I know like it's more than that, but like it's Uncle Maishi. It doesn't work without Rabbi Tannenbaum. So like whatever they had to do, it's just like at the end of the day, who loses out? The kids. True to his stance that Uncle Maishi wasn't an individual but a character, Golding refused to disclose the name of the four he hired. CO Live identified the new Uncle Maishi as Yossi Burkton, a children's musician and entertainer who was born and lives in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. He has master's degree, which it's Rabbi B right now. Not right. Is it Rabbi B? Rabbi Benny. No, it's Rabbi B, I think. Berting using the moniker Rabbi B has been leading. There you go. Teaching musical ability, musical instruments, and theory for 10 years. On his website, he writes that, like Uncle Maishi in the Jewish world, I hope to inspire and motivate and excite all kids all over the world in Jewish music. Now he doesn't need Uncle Maishi. Now he's just Rabbi B, and it's better. In a clip, yeah. Let's see here. Who will two Uncle Maishi performers exist in the same circuit? Which Tannenbaum, the original Uncle Maishi, recently told Ami magazine. Throughout the years, there have been people trying to imitate me. When you see an imitator, you see an imitator. Being Uncle Maishi for 40 years, I couldn't last this long by imitating. Yeah, it's true. And again, Rabbi Tannenbaum, that's him. That's his. It's not just an identity. That's him. He's Uncle Maishi. So, and the moment you seem not authentic, or the moment you seem like, yeah, I'm just doing this as a cash grab, that's when you lose people. And that's why also, I think that is also why Rabbi B's persona of Uncle Maishi didn't work out, because the whole thing just threw everything off. Tannenbaum's manager, Mendy Hershkowitz, said, a lot is still up in the air because Beis Din hasn't given a final psak yet. For now, we are focusing on the brand and the kids. Again, this is 2017. I don't know if they did a verdict in the end, or it just fizzled out so they didn't pay attention to it. Uncle Maishi loves what he does, and he asks us to represent him. We are lucky to be able to work with him. He's the original and puts so much passion into it. 100%. 100%. David Golding, the manager of the new Uncle Maishi, that's who we just saw in the video before, said, we are having amazing success with our shows with the new Uncle Maishi. Look at them right now. People are loving him. He is super talented, friendly, and the kids love him. We believe in him being successful. From a marketing perspective, we believe if it does continue this way, and there are two Uncle Maishis, then people ultimately make the choice that this is superior. They will hear the music, see the performance, and watch the videos, and we believe they will make the decision to go on with this. That is where they lost people. I'm not going to focus too much on. I'm not going to focus too much on this subject, but I'll end with this. There's a reason why it doesn't. Oh my gosh. They put an emoji in the shirt. No wonder they're not playing anymore. Here's the thing. Uncle Maishi is not just a persona. It's Rabbi Tannenbaum. That's it. That's one thing. Number two, when you say, hey, we're having a concert of Uncle Maishi for Chol Hamoed. Both of them. One is the original, one's the new. What do you think people are going to go to? People are just going to go to the original. Because people have we're now in 3 to 4 generations of Uncle Maishi. And people literally have like this connection with nostalgia. As we see now, how the biggest competition of new Jewish music is old Jewish music. Because people just don't like it. People are not going for that anymore. So, I don't know why I just hit. But the point is, if that's the case, then like from a business standpoint, that's the wrong way to do these things. Even when you saw Mendy Hershkowitz, when he was doing Uncle Maishi, he probably still does it, by the way. The idea that you thought getting an Uncle Maishi would last, it's kind of like meaning like it gets to a point of pettyism. I guess that's the word, where you're just like, I'm gonna stick to trying to do the new Uncle Maishi because it's a good business decision. You should try to do Uncle Maishi from a perspective like, hey, kids are the era of Jewish music for the younger kids are way different than the older kids. So maybe we should go in a different corner, which, by the way, is a terrible idea anyway. But from their perspective, that shouldn't have been their mission. If they wanted if they authentically wanted for it to be succeed. So the moment that they actually pursue this and go on and on and on to push this narrative of like, hey, it's a brand, that's when you lose people. That's when people's like, no, I'd rather take my children to the real deal. Because the moment you treat as a brand, then you're not treating the product as the real deal. You're treating your product as another paper in your portfolio. So ultimately, that's my thing about the Uncle Maishi. But yeah, we kind of went off subject from what we were watching. But yeah, anyway, let's continue.
Where the fans are still listening and going nuts about his albums.
Right.
And both of them recorded also in very different studios.
Correct.
One was recorded by, I think one was recorded by Gotti or not?
The Uncle Maestro was recorded by
was recorded by
Gotti.
Gotti, and the other one was in Sound Ideas, which was the first digital studio in New York.
Digital. Yeah.
What happened with my first album was Suki with Touch of Ding, was a music album. And I met Suki on Pesach of 1977. I went with him to Camp Aguda of Toronto, and we became close friends. And on the way, when camp was over, he told me that he was going to Israel that Thursday night. We came back from camp, it was like on a Sunday night, and he said, he's going to Israel on Thursday. I said, let's make a record. Because how could we make a record in 2 days?
Right.
So I said, we'll make it a wedding album. It'll be just music, and we'll do it. We'll record it one day, and we'll mix it and put it together. And
But this is the first time you're doing this.
Right, this is the first time we're doing
you
it. I
know-
had a little experience because Suki had a lot of experience, and I had a little experience because my brother made the Jep albums.
Right.
So we went ahead. We went into a studio. We recorded the entire album in one shot, maybe 5-6 hours, and then we came back the next day and we mixed it and we put it together. And that night I was going back to Camp Corina, and I was driving with my brother, and my brother said, "What are you going to name the album?"
Your brother Yisrael Chaim or your
Yisrael
other
Chaim,
brother?
Yisrael Chaim. So what are you going to name the album?
Mhm.
So we were thinking, I remember it was raining, we were thinking about it. And then I came up, how about Suki with a Touch of Ding? And that was that. So what happened was that we did we did the first music album,
Yeah.
and Suki went to Israel that Thursday, and then a week later we were scheduled to. I started teaching in Lubavitch, and then all of a sudden,
What
like
did he teach?
fourth
Whoa, he taught in Lubavitch? Like, when you see like how much the Rebbe was really involved in the origins and the sprouting of Jewish music, we know today, like Shia Mendelowitz going to the Rebbe for brachas for the Has concerts, and now this, it's like pretty baffling.
grade English.
What?
No, he meant subject, English.
You know who was in my class? One of my Rabashkin.
What?
Oh wow!
So then one day, after teaching for about 2 months, Yehuda Spinner comes back from Israel and says, "You really have to come to Itri and learn in Itri." I said, "I'm teaching here. I'm making a living in teaching." He says, "No." I go home that night and the phone rings, and who is it? It's Sal Tischler. He tells me, "I have a check for you, from my first check from Suki with a Touch of Ding." So I figured, okay, how much is it at the cover? And I come and pick up the check, and I open it, and I look at it, and my eyes, whatever I was expecting, it was like 10 times
Wait,
more.
so how old were you at this point?
I was 20.
Oh, that's how much size.
Right.
Single.
Right. Yeah, singer. And so I left. As soon as I left, I said to myself, I'm not going to stay here in America.
I have money.
I'm-
I can
I've
afford
got
a
some
plane
money.
ticket now.
And the next night, I went with you, the spinner. We flew to Israel. I went there. So that's where I met. That's where we got together with Suki in the same yeshiva, and that led to the whole V'chom Aminim story with that Pesach with Mordechai ben David, which
That
I
was-
wrote
that
about.
was done
Which
in
I
Israel?
wrote about in Mishpach magazine. Was a couple of days before Mordechai ben David came to do a concert, and we just went to visit him, and the whole idea of V'chom Aminim came up. And he said yes, and that's how.
You guys were like, "Oh, we can record albums in 2 days." And he's like, "Yeah, let's just try to do that."
And that was the legacy. It was always 2 days.
And then,
No?
well, we tried. Actually, we did one in one day.
Right.
Yankee Strudel and his Kosher Rocket, we
Yeah,
actually did. But then what happened was, so then I went back to.
He
I'm not
knows
sure,
these
like, the
albums
music
30
he's
years
talking
later.
about,
He's
but-
like, yeah, we did it in one day. We just we had an
19
idea.
hours straight without stopping. We did
Wow.
Yankee Strudel from the first note until the final mix. And then I went back to Itri, and that's when the Uncle Maishi thing came up with that year. So I met Zale Newman.
Wait, what was there? for
Zale
Suki to
Newman.
listen to
There
in
was
those years?
there was Ask Yisrael, because he did you did
613
613 Torah
That's
Avenue,
right.
Yeah.
and there was the mitzvah tree. But this was
Yeah. Hello. Whoa. 1 second. We're going through so much. Zale Newman. Yeah. Like it's funny because like I don't know why they did this really. The idea of having like a guy being Uncle Maishi, not as Uncle Maishi, which was Zale Newman, and then like when they do live shows, Zale Newman would join Uncle Maishi, but not be Uncle Maishi. but then the kids knew his voice as Uncle Maishi, and then they called him Bezalel, even though his name is Zale. Is Zale short for Bezalel? It probably is, but that's why I should probably right now thinking about it. But the whole thing is like so weird. But Zale Newman's voice is so iconic. He also did the Spy. If anyone know this, like the Spy that we know now was only the second iteration of the voice of Spy. The original was Zale Newman. And it's funny because Zale Newman, the Spy, it's just so cool to listen to. And it still holds up till today as like a good story tape because I just think that like when you compare the two Spies together, the second Spy was just so the first one was like very like based on like there was less effects and the focus was the story and the music and of course Dale Newman being a really good voice for the Spy. And then when you do the second one, it was more, I want to say a gimmick, but it kind of was because like Dale Newman's voice was perfect because it was kid friendly, but it sounded like a spy, a good spy. And then you had like the second Spy being a good spy always heard, which reminds me of the time, so but yeah, Dale Newman being the Spy, that was a classic. But yeah, and then Torah Island 613, like it's funny because like when you think about it, how Jewish story tapes used to be just music based, and now like Jewish songs is not even like in the picture of Jewish story tapes at all. But it's so funny how like so much change in that part of Jewish form of entertainment.
Children's album. Uncle Moshe was the first children's album that the singers were adults as opposed to
Children.
the other ones with children, right?
But you felt there was a need for that, I'm assuming, at that time.
I felt that it would be clearer for kids to feel closer to hearing an adult sing like a Rebbe than actually hearing
Like
another
being
kid.
taught
Yeah,
by somebody
yeah.
that is-
By the way, I talked this on a bunch of episodes of the podcast. Also, the idea that when you have adults doing children's entertainment, you should never, ever make it feel like that. You should never ever make it feel like that the adults are talking the kids' language. You should do it that the kids talk, that the kids should listen to the adult language, because the moment you treat kids like kids, you're going to get far less and you're just going to get much more when you treat kids as like your level. And it really does put an impression on the kids when they see that. And it's also funny because like when you go, that's why also school in a way is really important to have a Rebbe in a way, because when you're at home, you're not really necessarily going to get the Rebbe side of it. We're like children's play, we can have fun in Cheder for sure, but we're at us as Chassidim and us as Jewish children should be acting like it should be acting at the level of being a Yid. And yes, we're children, but that just makes it even more so that our commitment should be more to the level of what is expected.
Right.
And how did you and
So I met
Zale?
I met Zale at an NCSY Shabbaton on Pesach, and it also that same year, coming Pesach, I had already planned to do a Toronto Boys Choir album, Volume 3, all in my one Pesach.
Toronto, meaning you're
And,
clearly gonna. I would
so that's
assume.
why it worked out great, because Zale lived in Toronto and the singers lived in Toronto, so that was it.
Now, the one thing about you, different than the other two, is I feel I have
There's a lot of difference between
I have
me
more of
and
a
him.
connection than you, because let's be honest, Shia
Yeah.
was a drummer, Avramel's first drummer.
Right,
Yisrael, well, we know what Yisrael can do.
right.
But you're
Right.
not musically inclined,
Right.
meaning you don't play anything.
Basically, right.
So the relationship between you and Suki is I mean,
It's like what you're really asking is like,
Yes.
I once went on a date and I was single, and the girl says, "You play an instrument?" Because if you sing, I go like that. Well, I thought you were talented, like that.
you're like, I can't sing, I can't play, but I can produce an album in 3
Right.
days. If you give me a date in 3 days from now, I'll have a new album for you to listen to.
2 days, 3 days.
But when it says produced by Suki and Ding,
Right.
so Suki's doing the arrangements.
Right.
So Ding does-
Actually, the truth
when
is,
people say Ding does everything else, what is everything else? You sit there and you pick the songs, you pick the singers.
well, Shia could tell you because he does pretty much the same thing. When you first you have to pick an artist to sing the song, and then you have to pick the songs, and you have to pick the style of the music. In my case, most of my albums had a theme to it. We also it was the way you advertise the product and just coming up with different ideas to keep it fresh and to keep it different.
Really, the producer is the one that sets the whole tone, the whole concept of the whole album, and arrangers and singers and everybody else is really asking the producer, "What do I do?" That's he's really the man at the top.
Right. He's going to be the man with the vision, the man who's has the contacts to get everybody together to do
Well,
the good part.
Yeah.
it's also that like Shia,
Like it's funny because producers is like the one job in Jewish music or in any industry in general where people just like don't underestimate the fact that they're what's it called? That for them, like you hear even composers. I also make this point with composers, but like the brand is the singers. So Benny Freeman, when you talk about Benny Freeman, almost never do you talk about composers, let alone producers for sure. And like they have the craziest job out of everyone in that circle.
when he's in the studio with Avram Fried, so he decides whether or not it's a good take or not a good take. Now, can Ivramel do it? He could do it, but that
Does he have to be pushed to do the right?
Yeah,
version of
exactly.
it?
and so
Go higher here, go lower there.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah, and by the way, like Betty Freeman, I spoke to Betty Freeman, long story. There's a project we're doing. But he said how he said that like how Dunny Gross, before he had Dunny Gross, the producers that he had wasn't really at the level that like was pushing him to the limits of like what like pushing him to try, not to the limits, but pushing him to what he can do, what his capabilities was able to do. And then when he has Dunny Gross, that's when he sounds better. That's when his music sounds better because they're just constantly striving to do the best version as they can. And will it always be perfect? Not necessarily, but it will always be, in their perspective, better to keep pushing for that better standard.
Differently.
I see him might say, "No, I want the drummer to do like this, and I want the trombone player to go like that." And you can be very talented musically without playing an instrument.
but then when it's finished, you have this whole thing called mixing, which means you go into a studio, you, the producer, and the engineer,
Mhm.
and you put each instrument gets a certain level of the it gets a certain what's the name with tone, whatever it's called.
You want to make sure one's not overpowering the other. They
Mhm.
work
Yeah, but
harmoniously
also, you know,
together.
Also, what it sounds like.
One of my songs, Havu Lashem, I recorded that song about at the beginning of a summer. And the guy that I was working for, I don't know if he wants me to say his name, was engineering and working on that song for the rest of the summer. And I only had the final product after the summer ended. Like that is the most hideous part. It's almost like videos. What the most time consuming is the editing with music. It's the sound mixing for sure.
right.
You know,
Right.
just more echo, less echo. That could be so crucial in how
Mhm.
the
His
product
voice on
sounds.
top.
How
put
much
it a little
echo
bit below.
you could have one song and have two engineers mix it, and it will sound completely different.
A producer basically.
They always say singers that are songwriters have a better vision because they created the songs. They know. But you know, if you're a singer and you're going to different composers, you're sitting with them, you'll take a song because you like it or you think people will like it, but you still really don't have a final vision. So you need a producer to guide you, kind of to tell you, well, if you do this and this to the song, it'll make it so much more better. You know, and especially in the days of U2 and you, when Avram Fried, Mohammed Day, when all these albums, even Daddies, when these albums were coming out, a lot of the intros written by the arrangers became integral.
Yeah, like also that's another thing that we lost in new music. Intros. Like even when I react now on the channel, when we react to music from the old traditional eras, the intros were so good and so iconic, and some of them even outlived the song itself. Yeshvu is one of the most iconic intros ever, and that was composed by Yisrael Lamb. Dee da dum, dee da dum, dee. Like all these intros, the band from Amy Romberg. That's like the most iconic, like intro of a song that was taken to weddings. Like da 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 da. You know how many times people play that at their weddings, at introductions for the Chassan and Kala? Like, that's what we lost in Jewish music nowadays. The intros, the iconic intros. And the thing is like, so a lot of those intros, none of the composition of that intro was in the actual song itself. So Yeshu, that was a whole different composition, and none of that part of the song had words that were in the like if you play it in concerts, none of that is at all in the parts of the singing itself. It's all intro bridges. Nowadays, to make intros, even my songs, Mr. Shem, when I have more better people to afford to work on my music, I'll definitely make that as a standard. But even my songs, when you have the intro, you take a piece of the song, like in the chorus or something, and you hint a little bit, but it's not from scratch. You're like, it's not that you sat down and I spent my time on just the composing the intro itself. They take a part of the song and they revamp it as the introduction to hype it up. Or just no intros at all. You know how many Zusha songs? Do you hear any intros to those songs? Barely. Barely any. Thank you, Hashem. There's barely any intros in those songs. The era of having iconic composed intros for these songs has left.
Parts of the songs in the 70s. And
That's
80s.
for sure.
Yeah.
You know,
And not
which
only
you
that-
don't really have that today anymore. You know?
Oh, see? There you go. Told you.
So the intro is a very small
No,
part of
And
the song.
not only that, before she or I came around, Yisro, who was just the arranger, actually took the role of becoming a producer, because in all those albums, like you went into 613 Torah Avenue, they didn't really know what to do. We were relying on Yisro to whether or not whether the mix is okay, whether the singing is okay. I mean, you must have done
Yeah,
it with
but where do
many.
you think I
with
learned to be
many,
a producer? From the producers.
Now, Yisrael, this must
Yep, and yep. Shout out to Mendel Goldman, S3I. Yep, couldn't agree more. Yep, and yep. Thank you for joining, by the way.
must be very different from you nowadays to when you started out. Did you really have to write every arrangement out on paper by hand? Every little note on it? You had to do it like that, mamash.
Yeah, yeah.
And nowadays you have digital components. You can play it out in the computer and it'll
Well,
print
in
it out.
those days, I used to write the master score by hand. So after I had the master score, I used to look at the master score and write the individual parts for each musician,
Which is called copying.
copying. And she has said to me, what is this, crazy? What are you doing this for?
Yeah, I told him. I said, this is nuts.
What is a master score for, though?
The master score
That's the
is-
master arrangement.
Of every instrument there.
Of
You
Almost
see
everything.
all the instruments on a
Yeah.
sheet of paper. So whoever's looking at it could see or read what's
Okay,
what's
fine.
going
That's
on.
what I was trying to understand.
But when you go into the studio or at a concert, individual musicians don't need to know what's going on. They just need to know
Their
their
part,
part.
right.
So that's called the copying part.
Basically, they're taking the music sheets and they're playing what's
Playing
written.
it, and they have no idea what they're playing
They're
either.
playing. And
And
then
you never used to give it to them prior to try
Never,
to learn the
no.
part?
not
They didn't need it.
So it's not because you felt it was magic if they played it the first time by reading it. You just
No.
That's what they were paid for. That's what they were
That's-
expected to do.
and that's what they did for a living, these musicians. They're called studio musicians.
so when you're writing an arrangement, Yisrael, how do you do it? Meaning,
Huh?
what instrument are you using to try to figure out what you want to go where?
Okay, today we're using computers.
No, but not today. Go
And
back to the
then?
beginning. Yeah,
Yeah, it was the same thing.
you
just-
were learning trumpet. That was your
Okay,
first
so
instrument.
you had a piece of paper that had score lines on it, and you vision in your mind
So
what
you
you
didn't.
want
You
the
never played
arrangement
it
to
out on a
sign.
guitar, piano,
No.
or asked anybody to do anything for you.
No, you hear it in your mind and then you write it. I mean, just like you're writing a composition. You write
It's funny how like when you meet these people that have done these iconic and nostalgic things, and they're like, by the way, I had the same thing on my podcast where like when I asked actors or singers, like, what was your thought process on the acting? And kind of over a few episodes, you realize that these people, they were just they're really simple-minded than me and you, you know, and at the end of the day, like as much as we could say, like, oh, how did you come up with this? How much at the end of the day, it's all siyata d'shmaya, pure talent, but it's also pure talent to the point where to the person himself, it's not as like that's what talent is. It comes to the point where a guy, if there's someone with talent and then very very talented. There you go. I was about to say talentful, but that wasn't the word. But the idea is that they get to a point where they just subconsciously go like just that's how like the Abish gives them that specialty that their talents that they just go like I just did it. You know what I mean? Like obviously there's work to it and there's more to that, but it doesn't come to the level where like when you made that note or when you did this or when you did that, you know what I mean? There's a lot of that. On that note, when is the next podcast coming out? Yeah, I have I keep saying this, but I have 3 episodes on the pipeline. Right now, I'm working on Shabbos B'Varchim episode that's coming out on Thursday, so that's really taking up my editing time. I have a special program in LEC that's gonna happen on Sunday, so that's gonna take up my time. So hopefully, I'll have an episode for next week, but I don't know if I'll be able to do one for Thursday, but yeah, you'll definitely have those. Yeah, let's continue
Writing
here.
a speech. You hear the speech in your mind, you write it. It's no big deal. So, what you know,
When I'm writing one speech, yeah. When I'm running one speech with 15-part harmonies and other instruments, yeah, it's a chokhmah. It's not.
That's a different language.
yeah,
That's
but it's
music is a
so you're saying
language.
it's a language, and the writing is a language. The only thing that maybe is a little tricky is if you're writing a speech of 30 people talking at the same time,
Right.
and each one is saying a lot of different things. That's a little hard to imagine, but that's what you're doing when you're writing an orchestration. You're trying to imagine what 30, 40, 60 musicians are going to sound like when they play together. So now we have the computer, so you can actually hear what you're doing,
Yeah.
which is better than just trying to imagine what you're doing, because there were times when in my mind, yeah, it sounded pretty good when we went to the studio. And there were
Yeah,
times,
can you give us an example?
no, that album never came out.
Oh, that album.
Yeah.
Ooh, content that doesn't
No,
come
maybe
out.
there was once that you went into the studio and you're like, okay, we're just gonna take out this instrument and replace it with something else.
Yeah,
That's happened.
there were
before.
times we went to the studio and it just didn't work.
So what is your favorite arrangement that I mean, you must have hundreds, thousands. What is your favorite?
Baba Vakela done and the Philharmonic Experience.
but originally was done. You did it for Ailey also.
Yeah, but then when we did it for
Yeah.
Philharmonic,
On Stechemit.
Yeah.
Now, Ding, it looks like that your relationship with Suki is like a Yisachar Zvon kind of thing.
Well, he is.
Where he
Yisachar.
he has his part. Have you ever tried your hand to do it right at arranging a song or anything?
No.
You don't want that.
You want me to?
That
And he-
There are certain things, just like my wife always says, don't try to cook it, right? So it's like I don't sing and I don't write music, so that's off the table.
Now, we're talking just now.
Has he actually never done it? Yeah, let me see. ChatGPT. What was his name again? Suki and Ding. Trying to see what his name was. Suki and Ding. Isn't there no like Huh. Let me see here though. If there's any information. No, but yeah, but where is it? Yeah, I'm gonna look at the Uncle Maishi article to look for his name, but oh my gosh. Okay, so Rosenberg here, David Golding. There we go. David Golding. Copy. Let's see. Here. Yeah, that's not David Golding. Here, let's see. What Jewish songs were composed by David Golding? I couldn't find. Yeah. Yeah. So it mostly. Yeah, he was working on production and producing, but it doesn't pick up any real songs. It would have picked up from websites like J Music and stuff like that if there was so. But yeah. Anyway, let's continue here.
About the symphonies and whatnot, right? So Yisrael was 1971 or 72. You're fresh off two Nagina albums. You're off the Hineni album, the London School Koyamar. And Reb Eli says, come in.
Yeah, Koyamar Hashem, classic.
We're working on Cam Stechem and Sings Volume 2. And I have the Israeli Philharmonic. You'll come in and, this is your first time working with, what we call probably symphony, professional musicians, guys who have practiced and honed their talent. What was it like for you? And did you hear anything from them about how they felt, it's somebody with your credentials conducting them?
Well, look, in Steichemet, I was a kid. And Eli said, you're going to conduct the symphony. I think we had like 35 musicians. It was a different time. I really didn't take it that seriously. I looked at it as a great opportunity. Like Dink was saying, we were just having a good time. And
so there were no nerves at all?
Really not.
Wow.
Eli said, do it. And well, you see, the thing was that I really didn't know what I was doing. And when you have the clue what you're doing, you just get up there and just do whatever happens. And if I could take a minute to be technical,
yes,
I was not born a natural conductor. Some people get on a bike and they're just off, and some people, they just never get the balance. I was not born as a natural conductor. So just to get technical a little bit, when a conductor conducts, it's almost like the beat is like when he's banging on a table. It should be 1, 2, 3. So it almost sounds like
tempo.
The beat is on the way up. It almost looks like that. But what comes naturally to a lot of people, and to me, then the beat starts when you're going down. So it's like 1 instead of 1. So it says 1, 2, 3. Right. That's wrong. It should be 1, 2, 3. That's right. I couldn't get that right. So I get up there in front of 30 musicians, and they're all looking at me. Musicians always do that. Who's this conductor? Who does he think he is? Right? And I start going 1, and they're doing something totally different than it's in my mind. So the whole thing was a disaster. We pulled it off one way or the other, but it was fun.
It was a learning curve.
So let's say 15, 20 years later, just like Eli said to me then, Yisrael, you're going to conduct the symphony orchestra. She has said to me, you're going to go conduct the symphony orchestra in Lincoln Center. Now, by that time, it wasn't a joke anymore. This was a business.
But was there any time in between where you did this again? Or?
No, I was still doing it wrong.
No, but we recorded the album first.
Yeah, but I didn't conduct it.
Yeah.
But she has said,
this was the first time of you conducting a symphony in 25 years.
Right.
As a 16-year-old and now as a...
Yeah, but now I had to do it right.
Right.
Then it was a joke. So I went and took conducting lessons, crash conducting lessons, and we pulled it off,
Yeah.
How do you know?
It's crazy, how Jewish music, is even nowadays, it's made up by people that literally go with the passion to succeed more than to go with the professionalism, not in quality per se, but in execution. And my thing is that if that quality also goes with execution a little bit. So for example, AI, it's execution tool, but knowing that will ruin the quality. But I'm not talking about AI. I'm talking about in general, how people will literally the Chayach was literally pots and pans. And now it's the classical Nigunim albums ever, and there's never going to be an albums of showcasing Nigunim. It's going to be more iconic than that, but that's merely because of how much of the passion that these producers and people in the industry really put in at that time, and even now also.
You know enough what to do when you were 16 the first time, without any lessons. There's nothing you have to know how to do.
So
besides the beat.
Sometimes you go to an orchestra, a concert, and you see the conductor shakes hands with the first violinist. The reason for that is because many times everybody's really following the first violinist. The conductor's just up there to make.
Interesting. That's interesting.
faces.
Theatrics,
And,
Right.
you know,
So correct me if I'm wrong, but the truth of the matter is that it's not your personality to become more flamboyant, right? Like you always like to just.
yeah, but I think now I'm actually conducting.
Uh-huh.
I still have to shake hands with the first violinist, but then I'm actually watching the first violinist. And that's really what we did. Itche, remember Itche Markowitz?
Yeah,
He
Markovetsky.
really did the conducting. And that's how we got through.
You want to know the $1 million question?
Yes, Ding.
He never took a music lesson. Is that correct? You never went. You never.
I never took formal lessons. I
How
never
do you
went
know
to
about
music
arranging? How did you
school.
know? How do you know? Like
By listening.
that's amazing.
That's
That's
By
really
listening
crazy.
to writing.
No, because
master
most
scores?
musicians that could play by ear, they can't read it.
No, they can't read or write.
Yeah, but by the way, I have that same
But
thing too.
it's
Like
like-
when people like, like at gigs, like when I speak to like the band players, like, I usually set up my instruments to be like E minor, C minor, and I have no idea what they're talking about. I could demonstrate, but I can't really explain in simple like music terms on like these things. Like also like Zalman, he knows he knows he's also into music a lot, and he knows like all these fancy words and bravado and octaves, whatever. And like we'll have conversations, we'll say all that. I have no idea what he's like what he meant, and then he actually like, oh, like I have to explain it to you, like what it means to have, like this and that. I'm like, oh yeah, that's true. So like I'm the same thing in that in a certain extent.
Like any field, anybody will tell you, when did you really learn your trade? You know, when you
After
went
a
out
few
to
years
work.
and doing
Experience.
You went out
When
to
you
work.
experience
you know.
it, yeah.
Did anybody come over to you after the session to congratulate you or say you did a good job in Israel by the Philharmonic, or they were happy the day was over and they just wanted to go
No,
home?
actually, one compliment we got was when we were doing rehearsal in the Steichemet dining room, and the song was Lamana Chai, and Eli had the choir there and the orchestra, and I remember the trumpet player saying, "Oh, sounds like Henry Mancini." So I think
Whatever that
was a
means.
real compliment.
That was nice, yeah.
If he does a real good job, he gets lunch.
Okay. Next question is for
Yes.
all three of you. I'm starting off with Dingus. Dingus already talking.
Sure.
What was your I can't believe I'm here moment? You know, what moment in your career were you doing something, either a show, an album, recording with somebody where you're like,
Ooh.
wow, like I made it, like I can't believe that I'm here doing this right now.
I think the moment that Shlomo Kabach came in on the second Haas concert as a surprise to the audience and the
Ooh.
roar of the crowd. I mean,
Yeah.
I said to myself like, and I won't take the credit for it, that it was my idea, you know, like to bring him in.
Yeah. By the way, you can check out my reaction to that. I actually don't. I'm just gonna look back. Beautiful. Why are all these songs so short? Yeah, I remember like hating the video version because they would really cut short with all these things in the concert, and apparently there was so much more that they did. Yeah, but he came. When did Kabach come on stage? Trying to find the moment. Whatever, I'm not gonna look at it now because we're not focused on that. But yeah, you can check out my reaction to that concert anyway.
As a surprise, and just the
I just realized like how much technically I advanced since then. You know, like taking away that weird duck logo and like proper mics and sound system. Even like now, I'm not the best, but like it's crazy.
I said, like, we did it. Like we successful. We made Haas. I think that Haas became like good forever because of that one moment.
From where I stood,
Well, the old Hasks, not the ones now.
that was the loudest roar I ever heard on stage.
At any
Oh,
Haas
wow.
concert.
Anywhere.
Wow.
When Shlomo came around.
But what was the moment for you?
Getting up to conduct the Philharmonic experience at HASC 2 in Lincoln Center. I'm standing in front of a 60-piece orchestra, just fresh out of the
Yeah.
crash conducting course that I
Lessons,
took. And, you know, did I ever dream that I would be doing this in Lincoln Center? I would talk to musicians sometimes, and I would say to them at the time, and I would say, you know, in about 2 weeks, I'm conducting Lincoln Center. And they'd be, what? You're conducting Lincoln Center? Yeah, I'm conducting Lincoln Center.
That's Alhamdulillah.
It's like, wow, you know,
how
how do you say that so easily?
So for me, on the year number one,
Ask.
yeah,
Okay.
yes. So during the day, so
Talking about rehearsals that
at
day.
the
earlier.
rehearsal that day, we
What's freaky is that you hear their breathing in the mics, and I always keep thinking it's me, but it's not. It's kind of freaky
were in the place.
because I literally hear everything in my headphones, even the sound system for this. So it's like, is that me?
Getting sound checks and everything. And the theme, I asked Yisrael to write that the
wow.
Hess theme.
Yeah.
And when they played it that day in the I
You
I
knew it
broke
was-
down crying.
you
I
knew it-
broke down
You
crying.
got
yeah.
chills.
When people ask me, where did that come from? It took me.
Yeah, the Haas theme, which they're botching it at every new Haas concert. I don't know what it is. Besides for the new one, they finally played it. But even then, like, it took them 10 years to finally continue using the theme in the concerts. Like, I don't get what disrespect they have for nostalgia of Haas concerts. I don't know what it is. Like, who thinks it's a good idea when they're sitting at producing where you're meant to produce a Haas concert, and the first thing you don't get in your mind is like, all right, how we're gonna do the overture? What? These things are like essential for a Haas concert. Sure, you get all the stars and singers. By the way, I don't care who sings at the Haas concert because they had ridiculous people sing at Haas concert, even the older ones. But it's the respect for the nostalgia. Like when people were saying like Haas 39, oh, they brought the Bekisha guy to Hask. I'm like, okay, like I'm also thinking about it, but I haven't watched the concert. And I had like and because of watching the other Haas concerts, I'm like, it's probably gonna be another bad one. And I watched it, and the Bekisha guy was actually cool, because they didn't use any of the sounds from the album, which is great. They had the band playing everything, and also he actually had respect to the nostalgia of Hask, where he's like he was a main part of the tribute of singing those songs, and he was actually like not in your face about it. He was there with the music. But in general, like, it's not about who you bring, what you do. You just have to give respect to music, which is a problem with most Jewish concerts nowadays. But also, you have to give respect to Hask, the Hask name, instead of just using it as just one-off.
3 seconds to write.
What?
It's not that
Yeah.
long, it's very
No, it's
short.
not that long.
No, but this may sound like a crazy story, but this is really what happened. I knew, I had a feeling that something new was starting. We were a bunch of yeshiva boys playing weddings and doing little concerts, and we were going into Lincoln Center, and there was a possibility that something new was happening. And I really thought to myself, and I'm not kidding around, I said, if I was at Bria Seiler, what kind of music would you hear there? And it just came to me.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom. This was the beginning.
It just was the right
It was
right
Devar
music for the
Hayat
right
LA.
song.
Yep.
It was
Yeah.
the right music for the right song.
It's classic.
And
So you heard the orchestra playing it by rehearsal, but you never heard the orchestra play it in Lincoln Center till that moment, and it must have been the bigness of it.
At that point, it all came together. I mean, there were a lot of. You got to understand that first year, we were just working nonstop. This is how this went very quickly.
Yes.
When I went to Hess to sing with Matcha and to sing for the kids, I invited my family that I asked to go. I wanted to experience Hess. Nothing. They weren't talking about any concert. They had no idea of fundraising. And then they told me they're going to close. They're going to close the camp.
Because you can't afford to keep it open anymore because there's a lot of costs.
No, yeah,
Whoa.
they were cutting. They cut the.
It's crazy. They were about to close the camp. That's actually insane. But that also shows like the power of what the Haas concerts did. It literally saved. I have a cousin that goes to Hask. They're really amazing.
Funding
They cut
from
the
all
government.
these, and it was so. I said you can't do that, and the idea Hashem put the idea into my head about making a concert. My idea was to do a concert at the Felt Forum. I called him, Ding. I told him what I want to do, and he said, "No, don't do it in Feld Forum." It was his idea to go into Lincoln Center, and from then it was nonstop. We were all going nonstop, right?
And,
For
and
6
it was
months.
nonstop, but it was so fun, and it was so like we didn't stop working, but it was just fun doing it. Like we had a good
Fun,
time
and
doing
but there was an
it was
adrenaline,
nervousness. We were
yeah,
nervous. We were a little
nervous
we were a little
because
nervous.
things were going
up and down.
up and down.
The sales
The
were
sales, right?
Yeah, but also you guys have never, at that point, have you produced enough concerts to be confident that you know how to put one
not.
together?
No, because this
Even
was
just a
this was
program without
this
the
was
Crazy. Like the idea that these people were like literally at the rookie stages of their careers and they're doing the Has concert like as we know it. That's really it's insane. It's insane. And like and you just keep going back to the fact that like where is this in the producers nowadays? People are working on Jewish music now. Like where is this like it's hard to explain it.
a whole
everything.
new animal. This
There were a
was
lot of complications that we didn't have in Brooklyn College.
Like,
Dealing with the unions over there.
which is what I've
Yeah.
learned a lot about over
Oh yeah. I haven't thought about that. The idea that all these productions, even now, like with many Hershkowitz and stuff like that, you have to deal with unions. By the way, unions, as much as they're like there are a lot of unions for certain jobs that are kind of useless. And I don't want to talk about unions about the music per se, but I know from searching these things up and talking to people in the movie industry, like the unions for actors and stuff like that, like how much like uselessness they have, and also like people being fired left and right from jobs, and sometimes for good reasons, but a lot of times for no good reason at all. And the unions are basically on the side of the corporations of the movie industry, kind of. So they're like unions for I don't know music, but for like for regular jobs are probably doing a good job. But then when you go to like entertainment, like they're kind of basically useless.
the years between these two and the other.
Things
producers.
really, had to be right. But I think
Did they make you shut down an hour
It's-
before the show too? Because
of
yeah,
course.
yeah. So we bought you could buy
What?
the hour. There was another way for them to schlep geld.
The first
from
time
the-
we had a meeting, we were all sitting at a round table, a little bigger than this, with Jack Kirkman and Lee, and the guy sitting there with his pad. He goes, "Okay, Ding, who's your LD?" I go, "Shit, what's an
I think
LD?"
what you were saying was
what is an LD?
Lighting director.
what got to you was it's happening. As soon
Yeah.
as you heard that music, you realize, this is happening.
Yeah, it's coming together. But there were a lot of lead ups to that moment. That the week before, we were sold out. We were sold out. You couldn't get a ticket. There was people were offering crazy money, right? Yeah.
And when the concert was, this you're going to remember, when the concert was like more than three quarters, there was like 3 songs left to go to the concert. Shia comes over to me backstage and he gives me this hug and he says, "We did it, we did it."
Yeah.
He said, and I said, "Shia, we didn't do it yet. It's not over. We still have 3 songs," because I'm the nerd. And then all of a sudden, for the last song was Forever One. And I remember singing it and just ripped it apart. And as soon as he finished the last note of Forever One, Mordechai Ben David and Yoel Sharabi comes out wheeling a Has child on a wheel. And instantly 3,000 people just stood up. And then I turned to Shea and I said,
Nice.
"Now we did it."
Now, speaking of musicians and performers, we're going to name a few performers that are no longer with us
Yep.
and whose absence can never be replaced. I'm sure you guys all have fond memories, but I thought this would be a good space to talk about some stories of people that aren't here. So I'll start off with Yossi Piement.
I loved him.
Yep.
I loved
And
him.
now Avi.
He was a very, very close friend of mine. He was a close friend of Yisrael's and Ding. We all had different kind of relationships with him, but he was unbelievable.
The guy,
unbelievable.
the
Yid.
guy, no matter what time of day it was, would do whatever he can to help another.
He went
Yid out.
through the whole Safe Tillim twice a day.
Really?
Yeah, the first time I met him was when I was doing an album, the Suki Would Touch a Ding #2, and I never met him before. And I come to the studio and I'm looking. I said, "Where's the Piamente guy?" And then all of a sudden I see a guy who's just sitting there with the guitar, and he's saying to him, but the guy went to do a favor. You can call him up. This guy, there's a wedding tonight, and the husband has just lost somebody, and he's in a bad mood. And you don't have to ask again. He's there. Yes, he was there. There was a time I told him about a group of people in Camp Monroe, a camp that's not religious, and how they learned they were in love with Mordechai Days just when Shabbos. He said, I'm performing with him. I'm going down to Camp Monroe. That's him.
What I remember about him
Crazy.
is he had a Simchas Achayim that it was rare to see.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm one of the lucky younger ones that have been at a wedding where he performed. The energy is insane. His energy was insane, and what he brought with and also the wedding that it was my uncle's wedding. He performed, and even that wedding, it wasn't with Avi, and I think it was with a local band. Like still, like he just brought everything with him. He the presence was unprecedented, pun intended. But like it's just like the whole. Like, we'll never see that again. I do pray we do, but when Mashiach comes, we're gonna see that again, obviously. But he's one of a kind.
Biggest bracha somebody could have is to have Simchas Achayim, and he would pistachio nuts, this kind of drink, you know,
coffee.
you mix coffee.
You make the coffee the old way. We brought the Mishinkel on. Yeah, he made it on jobs, on the bandstand.
And the other thing I learned from him is that we had ideas that, you know, Jewish music is a certain thing. Yeah. You can go a little bit this way, a little bit that way, and people got angry
drawing the line, so to speak.
when you made it a little bit too jazzy or whatever. And he came from a totally different world and made Jewish music, made it into Jewish music. I remember the first time that how did I meet Yossi Piamente?
You were in California.
In California. Nagina was hired to do a concert in San Diego. Yossi Piamente was the opening act. I forgot who was singing with us. Maybe it was, I forgot.
But he was there, right?
I think so, maybe. And Yossi Piamente would call me up on the phone and in his very colorful way, he'd tell me, where are you going to do this? You're going to hear something you never heard before. And I'm, you know, who's this guy? And we never got together, but we met in California. And I walked into the concert hall with carrying my bag of music while he was rehearsing. And I heard he was doing mitzvah, gored, and mitzvah, you know, with his band. I never heard anything like this. I was just totally blown away. And I said to myself, Lamb, Jewish music is not going to be the same anymore. And it was true.
I've also heard in the last few years, there's a lot of musicians that passed away that were part of the Jewish music scene when you guys were on it, that names I didn't know about. I'm trying to think right now.
Larry Gates.
Label Heschel.
Larry
Label
Gates.
Heschel.
Label Heschel.
Label Heschel, he was many years already.
Label Heschel, Shlomo Kalbach. Yossi.
Moshe Yes, Shalom Levine.
It's crazy.
You bring up Larry Gates, and everyone knows. Most
Gates
people
is
know
Yotzai,
Larry Gates.
The fifth night of Hanukkah.
Know Larry Gates as
an engineer,
studio guy, as an engineer. But Larry's done a lot of voices from Commission. He's done a lot of other
for everything. He did, yeah.
He adds vocals, and you don't even know. He doesn't even get credit on a lot of the albums.
And he never disappointed you. When you took the microphone, you knew that he'll do the job that you want him to do. And
he was even more than that. When Larry was there,
that's it.
Larry's going to take care of everything.
That's it.
No worries.
When you went to the studio, you knew you were coming back with a product when Larry was there.
Of course, also, I mean, just in the last year, when we lost Shmuel Borger.
Sammy.
You did. You did it.
You did.
He did the double album, yeah.
Yeah, for Sammy and Fashia, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but Achron obviously is Shlomo Kalbach, who you guys both, all three of you have worked with over your time of music.
Shlomo was very different than what most people.
I'll say.
Right. Everybody in the world.
You're saying when you hear him, when you hear about him, and when you know him, they're very different personas.
Very, very.
Yeah.
First of all,
100%.
I think the biggest thing was that, you know, people always say he was Suflagan, he was like out of it. he knew everything that was going on. He knew. He knew. You could ask him like 7 years after, 8 to 10 years after a concert, what musician played with you that night, and he'll know. Even though that night when he was playing with you, he kept on mixing up his guy's name and stuff like that, but he knew exactly what was going on, and people used to make fun of him, sometimes, and he knew that they were making fun of him.
They used to say he was always on something.
But
He really wasn't.
the greatest story she will tell you, and if we were all there backstage at the Hats concert, you tell the story. Somebody came over to him we were backstage, and somebody came over and said, Shlomo, why does so many of your songs sound alike? And he's telling what he said.
He said, everybody.
Look, he didn't answer the guy. He didn't answer. When the guy left, I think me, Matra, Yisra,
He said, everybody steals songs from me. I could steal from myself.
I remember I was talking to.
I didn't get what he
Motro
said,
a few
but
years
okay.
ago, and he said the only place that he performed first before Shlomo Kalbach was Australia.
That's it. What?
The one place that Mordechai Ben David performed before Shlomo Kalbach was Australia. Shlomo Kalbach
Interesting.
got to Australia a few months later, and I saw Mordechai at the Hess concert a little while later. He went like this to him. He said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "I got to Australia. They asked me why I'm singing your songs. What's going on?" He goes, Mordechai goes, it was a present from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, this song. What are you complaining about? Shlomo Kalbach goes, yeah, but he gave it to me. He didn't give it to you.
right. And the other story was in La Vista Hotel. Me and Suki were in La Vista Hotel, and he said, I don't know if you know this story, it's a great story. So I said, Shlomo, you have any good songs? He says, yeah, bring a tape recorder. I said, I'll be back in 5 minutes. And I come on, I have a tape recorder. In those days, we had tape recorder, we didn't have phones.
Right.
And he goes, just before I sing you this song, he goes, I have one complaint. He goes, I said, what's the complaint? He says, you took Eishes Chayo and you gave it to Avram Fried, and he did a very good job on it. But I composed it slow, and you went ahead and made it into a fast song. I composed it for my chuppah, for my old chuppah. So he looked at him and said, Shlomo, the marriage didn't last that long. And the only time in my life I heard him, like, Shlomo just cracked up. He goes, you're 100% right.
But he was the most popular guy in the world in Jewish music, and he was not in the business. He wasn't, right?
Yeah, it was all here. It was all in his heart.
Mhm.
Whatever
before-
money he made, they say he gave away.
Yeah, and he was a big, he gave tzedakah, and it's just amazing. I mean,
He once invited me to one of his Gemara shiurim,
And
that wasn't the Shlomo that I knew.
right.
so
It
you
was
went?
like listening to a Rosh Hashiva. It was Klar. It was
Yeah.
It was an act. All this stuff.
It was all an act. It was all an act.
The Holy Brother.
The famous story that's written up in the book was that Moshe Yes broke his leg a couple days before Lag Boma,
Mhm.
and he was scheduled to do a concert in Montreal, and they didn't have anybody. So Moshe Yes called up Shlomo and said, "Can you replace me? Are you busy?" He says, "I'm available. How much are you paying?" So Moshe Yes said, "No." So the Chabad rabbi the Chabad says, "Look, we don't have a very big budget, but whatever comes in that night, whatever comes in at the house goes completely to you." So they had a concert. A lot of people showed up at the door. It was a great concert. And at the end of the concert, the Chabad rabbi comes over, gives him a chunk of cash, and he puts it into his pocket. And about 10, 15 minutes later, after the concert, people were coming over to say, shkoyach to Shlomo. And a couple came and told him, we just got married a couple of weeks ago, and unfortunately we don't have a lot of money. And they were pulling out their hearts, and maybe you can do something, whatever. Shlomo never looked at how much money was in the pocket. He just put his hand into his pocket, pulled it out, and gave it to them.
Before we leave, Big Lamb.
That's me.
Where's this from? Where's the Big Lamb from?
Because Michal and
Big
Yitzhak,
Lamb.
they were. That's how we differentiated between ourselves. I was Big Lamb, Michal was Middle Lamb, and Yitzhak was Little
No,
Lamb.
Hol was cook.
No, but when we started,
Oh.
I don't know. For some reason, people called us Lamb. It's very easy to say. Just say, "Hey, Lamb, Lamb, Lamb." So There are three lambs: a big lamb, middle lamb, a little lamb. We were all about the same size, but
But you're the oldest, you're saying. That's
Yeah.
pretty much it.
Yisroel had a
And
little
Ding, I
lamb.
guess Ding is just shorter than Golding.
Yeah, no, it's actually not. It's David Nachman Golding, DNG.
Ah,
I started in high
Mm.
school. My friend Josh Kalowitz, one day I was not feeling well, and they were running for GO elections of the school, and so he put up signs. He goes, "Vote Ding," and that's how that started.
and the last question for Shia. What was the idea to turn Avram Fried's name, Avram Friedman,
Oh.
into Fried? And why?
Good question.
So very simple. He did not want to. He didn't. That his idea was that he just wanted to sing solos on an album, not to make his own record. And I wanted him to do an album, and he said his mother doesn't let. He was still a bacher. And I said, so the pshara was he's going to call himself Avram Fried instead of Friedman,
And nobody. in
Also,
Crown Heights,
by the way,
you know, was like,
let me
"Hey."
just pause it here. Avram Fried said in an interview how there's like two unofficial answers to why he's called Avram Fried. One was the official answer is that because he didn't really want to be doing it at first, and then the unofficial answer is because when they wrote the cassettes, even the writing, the engravings that they had on the cassettes weren't as advanced as now, like when it comes to graphics and stuff like that. So like there was no space on the cassette, so they couldn't write Friedman. But yeah, it was just a thought.
What is this Fried business? You're
they
Friedman.
didn't know him. They didn't know who this guy is. It's Fried.
Also, Amfrey said that his chavrusa he used to learn in 770 before he got. I think I don't know. I think he did the music before he got married. But the point is, he had a chavrusa. His chavrusa didn't know over a year that he was Avram Fried, or was it over a half a year? But basically, for a crazy amount of time, he didn't even know that he was Avram Fried.
He grew up in Crown Heights, though, right?
Right.
So yeah, nobody knew him. Interesting.
Right.
He's one of those people that we were talking about before. Like when he started off in the music business, like he had no idea what he was getting himself into, and he was like shy and like Shia tells the first story the time when he
Yeah.
goes to the studio and he
Yep.
froze up. He goes, but then he went from like being like so backstage to becoming so confident and so on the money and so taking care of any problems that would come up by a concert. He just knows what to do, and he's the best.
I was at a concert that was emceeing at probably 4 or 5 years ago, and Evremel was on the thing, and we were watching rehearsal. And watching these singers saying, "Or this. No, I don't get it. This microphone, that microphone." And Evremel gets up and he goes, he calls the engineer, "What's your name?" He calls him by his name. Just get a little bit more reverb, a little more of this. He's done. Everybody else is taking 45 minutes. He goes to his room. He says to him, he puts his stuck on his pushka.
Yeah.
He is for sure one of the sweetest, most real people I've ever met in the industry.
Unbelievable.
So I'd like to thank our guests. Yisroel,
Really, that's it. Like that's all. There's so much more you could have asked, but
Ding Golding and Shia Mendowitz. Thanks to Amudim for supplying the access. I'm Yossi Zweig, and we'll see you at the next session.
yeah, that was cool. Just to hear more Shia Mendowitz talk about Jewish music is always a treat. But like those three sitting down, it's like a Farbringen, like everything now, like when it comes to interviews or interactions and podcasts and stuff like that, there's more hype in front of the camera, so to speak. But it's just crazy, like to hear these people just talk about Jewish music. Yeah. All right, guys. I see there's no more comments over there. Yep, no more comments. But guys, thank you for joining. Those that joined and commented. But yeah, thank you so much. And again, I would love I even though we're doing this during Sphera, we can't really listen to Jewish music itself, but I would love to continue doing this, keep on going. If you have any ideas of like discussion, podcast, interviews, or things to react to during Sphera, comment below, and we'll definitely get into that, especially when we're going to try to be consistent. Hopefully the next episode of the Potatoes Podcast will be out next Thursday, not this Thursday. Hopefully there's I have 3 interviews lined up to be edited, and they'll be out. Continue commenting every Sunday. Well, not Sphera anymore, but we try to put reactions every Sunday. Tuesdays live reactions. live streams, and our podcast episodes on Thursdays. Other stuff coming up. Also on the other channel. So keep. The Shoppers of Arkham video is going to be out on Thursday, Mirz Hashem, the new episode, and can't wait to see you guys around. And also next week. Oh, one more comment. Mendel Goldman here. There was an event in Eretz Yisrael with a Ramble a few years ago, and there was a power outage, and he just, I guess I would assume you would try to add more to your comment, but yeah, basically, like everyone sang with him in that concert. That's a crazy story. I think he mentioned it in Ami or something. What about a podcast with Ding or Yisrael? And that would be amazing. I just need to get their context information, you know? All right, guys, thank you so much for joining. See you next week. And as usual, I think that's it for today. Have a good day. Live, Uziel's live for you to join along. Live, Uziel's live for you to join along.